you were greeted with this massive 6.2-inch 2960 by 1440 screen. Also on the front, you have an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. On the right, you have your power button. Up top, you have your SIM and micro SD card slot. On the left, you have your volume rockers and Bixby button. On the bottom, you have your speakers, USB-C port, and headphone jack. And on the back, you have your 12 megapixel camera and fingerprint sensor. First off, I'm glad Samsung included a headphone jack on this phone, and I'm really glad they included it on the bottom. It gets kind of awkward when you're charging and also have something plugged into your headphone jack. And also when you're pulling your phone out of your pocket and something's plugged into the headphone jack, it's a lot less awkward when it's on the bottom. Also, I really like having the fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. Typically, when I'm pulling my phone out of my pocket, I'm already pressing it, and then the display is ready to go by the time it's up to my face. And while I really don't like the placement of this fingerprint sensor, after a while of using it, the location really did become second nature. And as someone with bigger hands, reaching that fingerprint sensor with only one hand really wasn't that big of a deal. I'm not going to spend too much time on the display of the device because you've seen it everywhere, but I will reiterate, this screen is absolutely beautiful. It has great colors and contrast, and the screen gets really bright. It really is the first phone I've ever owned where I can use it in direct sunlight and still see the screen. Even after a week with this phone, I'm still in awe about how nice this screen is. Mine of the S8 Plus, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the footprint of this phone is actually less than that of the Nexus. Though I really love how the screen takes up nearly the entire front of the phone, I really do wish they would have found a way to include front-facing speakers on this one. When it came to the software, I really wanted to have the experience that Samsung intended for me to have. I use native Samsung apps as opposed to their Google counterparts. And while I haven't owned a Samsung phone in nearly 5 years, the feeling is almost exactly the same as it was back then. First off, the performance is absolutely incredible. Everything is really smooth, and thus far I've experienced no lag whatsoever. They've included some nice features, such as the always-on display, which shows information important to you at all times. You can hard press the home button to wake the device, or double press the power button to launch the camera. You can swipe from the edge of the device to activate the edge display, which lets you choose between apps, people, or screenshot features. You can also record up to a 15-second GIF of whatever's happening on your screen by selecting animation, cropping, and pressing record. There is also the extended screenshot feature where at the top of the screen, Samsung felt the need to include some advertisements, as if they weren't getting enough money out of us when we were paying $900 for this phone. Next is the keyboard. The stock Samsung keyboard has got to be the worst I've ever used. Typically, I like to swipe text with only one hand, and this is horribly inaccurate. Even when I use two hands to type, the predictive text is really bad. Oftentimes, I'll have a word correct, and it'll autocorrect it to a word that I'm not even sure exists. As a consumer, this would honestly be the first thing I changed about the phone. Screenshot. You have the option to scroll to the bottom of the screen and continue the screenshot as many times as you need. I've really got nothing out of it. Even opening it is kind of annoying. By swiping right on your screen, you get a set of personalized cards, but it takes a bit of time to load. Unlike the Google Assistant, which are already loaded for you by the time you open it, is Bixby Vision. I've seen mixed reviews of Bixby Vision online, but so far everything I've tried has been pretty successful, especially if you take a picture of the packaging of an item versus the actual item. From there, you're just a few clicks away from purchasing it on Amazon. Optical image stabilization takes some really great shots. However, with any smartphone, under low light, the pictures can look pretty grainy. I am pleasantly surprised with the performance of the flash of this phone at night. The pictures actually ended up looking pretty good. Videos can be recorded in 4K at 30 frames per second, or 1080p at 60 frames per second. The recorded sound quality is decent. It's about what you would expect out of any smartphone. Even the 8 megapixel camera on front has blown me away, keeping my selfie game on point. Oh.